How did you come into anime? I did see some of your videos,
Hmm.
but I would love to hear the whole fleshed out version, please and thank you.
Yeah. So growing up, I loved Pokemon. Like that was the first real anime that I ever watched. And then my dad would do business in Japan. So he would travel for about 2 or 3 weeks a year and go to Japan and do his all business and stuff. And it would bring me back like Yu-Gi-Oh cards and all that fun stuff. I loved it. I loved Digimon. I loved Sailor Moon. And I think it was all like, oh, shows on it after school. It was just shows you would watch, right? But then Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z played a little clip this tonight at 8, and I'm just like, what is this? My child brain is like, what is this? So I stayed up till 8 and I watched it, and I was like, oh wow, I love it. And yeah, I loved Dragon Ball Z for the longest time, and then I got then I got bullied for it because of course you're like, oh, you're into anime, you're a weirdo. It's not the case now. Ha. uh,
How things have changed.
exactly. And so I dropped it for like a long time. Like I was really ashamed of watching it, so I picked up wrestling instead, which is even even the same amount of nerdy if you think about it. And so it wasn't until college where one of my roommates was watching. I think he was watching Your Lie in April for the first time, and I'm like, "What's this?" And he's like, "Oh, this is Your Lie in April. It's depressing, but it's beautiful." And I was like, "Okay, I'll sit down." So I sat down and watched like 2 or 3 episodes, and I was like, "What have I been missing?" And so he's like, I can get you into it. I was like, awesome, awesome. So he showed me Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and Death Note and You Lie in April. And I'm like, there's something outside of big burly men beating the crap out of each other. Are you kidding me? And like I've always been like such a movie nerd and a comic book nerd. So like I really gravitated towards anime. And even growing up, I would from time to I think monthly, my parents would get me the Shonen Jump from the store, from the grocery store, and yeah, and then moved out to like where I am now, and got Funimation for the first time because I didn't get the job I hoped to get, so I was really sad and not in a very good place. And then one of my coworkers was just like, have you heard this anime called My Hero? And I'm like, no, what's that? And he's like, yeah, it's like anime and superheroes. I was like, oh my God, I was obsessed with superheroes at the time. So I was like, oh my God, that's perfect. So I watched, I think the first 2 seasons were free. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm buying the service so I can watch more because there's shows I hadn't seen since I was a kid, like One Piece and like Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff that would want to revisit. And then my girlfriend got like, she's always been an anime fan, like nonstop. And she's just like, yeah, my favorite show is Inuyasha. And I was like, I don't know what that is. Well, I did know what it was, but I wasn't allowed to watch it because I was a kid. So,
Fair,
but
okay.
yeah, it was always the show that came after Dragon Ball. And then I had to go to bed. So I was just like, oh, dang it. There should be more Dragon Ball. F this show. But, we watched through all 9 seasons. We bought all of them on DVD. And I was like, I'm obsessed. And then what got me into doing videos on them was I had been stuck in a rut creatively for 6 months. And I had been doing the coffee show or like the talk show for like the first amount of the pandemic, like first couple of months. And then I got back to work and I kind of fell off because doing a show and working is like, especially because I was coming out with videos 3 times a week. It was very stressful and, kind of just destroyed my creativity. And I got really insecure and I got really, how do you say it? Not wanting to be on camera. And my background is I went to school for radio and TV. So behind the mic is where I'm pretty comfortable. So my girlfriend was just like, why don't you do like videos on anime? And I'm like, no one wants to see me talk about anime. So I posted a TikTok and I was like, it was like 2 months ago. I was like, I'm having an identity crisis. Do you want to see me talking about anime? Please. If not, I'll shut up. And then I got an insane response, about, I think, I want to say 20 comments being like, yes, do it. So I was like, okay, all right. So I started getting into anime, and it was insane. Like the way I structured them, like this video, how to write it, and the editing and the voiceover process was just like, oh, this feels like a real job. I love it. Because I was off of work. I broke a rib back in January from a seizure. So I was off of work and not doing anything because I couldn't, because of my rib. So I felt this pressure. I was like, I got to create. I'm doing nothing. But then I started doing this kind of video, and I was like, oh my God. And like, for the first time in, let me see, I think 4 or 5 years, I actually have seen growth on my channel, because I'm actually doing something I care about and doing it well. I'm really proud of it. Usually I'm my biggest critic, like, ever. I will destroy a video and be like, this is wrong, this is wrong. But these videos I'm coming out with, I absolutely love. And yeah.
Nice, I see.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you said that about growth coming only when you're doing something that you're passionate about. I've noticed, especially with so many people going to online during this period of time to create, that they're not quite sure what lane they should stay in, especially now that we're now starting to go back to some semblance of normalcy. Some people are going back to work, and they have to figure out, okay, I want to maintain this channel, I want to maintain this podcast or this stream. How can I continue it while I now have the responsibility of work? It's really good that you're able to figure that balance out. And your recent videos that I've been watching, I enjoy them. I really do. It's nice
Thank
to
you.
see people who are smaller creators focusing on anime, but actually releasing something that's not just casting a wide net. You're opinionated in your videos, but you're not tearing down the series. You're just giving your opinion, and you're relating it to how it impacts your life, and that's really interesting. There aren't many people covering anime that's taking that angle.
Mm-hmm. When I like to put myself in the viewer's headspace about why they're watching my video. If I'm watching a video and it's tearing down a series, unless it's a critically acclaimed bad series, I'm not going to watch it. Like if someone's tearing down, say, Death Note, let's say they're tearing down Death Note. They're the only person tearing down Death Note. And I don't want to watch that. I like Death Note, but if they're tearing down Ghost Stories, I'm like, yes, absolutely. So I also like to, I'm a storyteller. I like to tell stories because, I think just covering the material is fine. Is totally fine. And like a lot of, I do watch some YouTubers who do just cover the base story, and that's fine. But I like to, kind of bring you in and see what I'm feeling. And yeah.
And it's working. Keep it up, please. Please do. Has everything. Has a nice touch of comedy, and like I said, honesty. When you mix all that with like anime, it's very, very easy to start seeing growth because people like that, right? And with my channel, I've spoken to a handful of other AniTubers. They say that when they started putting more of their personality into their work, and they started releasing what they wanted to, but just curating it so it was more structured, that's when they started seeing more engagement and more growth. So that's great to hear you say that. It definitely means that it's a trend that more people are going in and should continue to go in.
Absolutely. If you don't like it, why make it, right?
Yeah, it's true, because then you're going to be stuck doing it for however long, or it never takes off, and then you feel you never grew.
Exactly. That's what I felt with the the talk show. Because like at first I was like, oh, I'm going to be the next Good Mythical Morning. Because like it was just I look up to Rhett and Link a lot. Because they're amazing, but I had to realize that I have to be me. And me is nerdy, The entire time I was just like, I made, I think 3 or 4 nerdy style videos, and those were my favorite. So I was like, there's a trend.
And when you're doing videos that you love too, it also really helps compared to doing something that you know will just get hits and you're not passionate about, because the grind of coming home from work and filming and editing and trying to get everything on deadline and then scripting the next video, it's so cyclical and it's so hard.
Mhm.
You need to love what you're doing in order to do it. I haven't been doing YouTube for myself for very long. I've helped others with their channels for years, but to actually be hands-on with what you're doing and deciding what you're putting out, it's very different, and it is time consuming and it's rewarding, but it's also so exhausting.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, as much as I do love it, I love it. The only complaint is how much time it takes. And I will get better at that, because like when I first started making YouTube videos back in like 2013, I used to make vlogs like on camera, kind of like, what's up, you guys? Um, and those used to take me hours to edit. And now if I make one of those again, I can take maybe an hour, 30 minutes to edit, because it's like chop, 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 done. Like, so hopefully it gets easier from here. But yeah, I don't know how Mother's Basement does it every freaking week. He does it every Saturday. And I'm like, how do you do this?
Repetition and commitment, I have no idea. He must have like signed a deal with somebody to make it work, because it's crazy.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. Because like I was like briefly following him for a little bit, not like too much. And then I was watching a couple of videos for like inspiration. And then I looked on his channel banner, it says every Saturday. And I'm like, oh, oh my God. Oh, props to you, but my God.